Now that brings us to the seventh and last dispensation, and the last dispensation also has two names. It is called the Dispensation of the Kingdom or the Dispensation of the Millennium. It begins in Revelation chapter 20, verse 1, and continues through verse 10. And although it's only 10 verses long, it covers a span of time of 1,000 years. And here too we'll have the same 7 facets. The first facet is the chief person. In this case is going to be Christ, because Christ himself will be dispensing direct new revelation, as we see in places like Isaiah chapter 2, verses 2 through 4. And upon this new revelation, the new dispensation will be based. Now, secondly, concerning the name for this dispensation, as I mentioned, there are 2 different names. The first name is the name Kingdom, the Dispensation of the Kingdom, which emphasizes Christ's messianic rule. Christ's messianic rule over this particular planet. The second name is the Dispensation of the Millennium. The second name emphasizes how long this rule will last. It will last for a millennium, or it will last for 1,000 years. Now the third facet concerns man's responsibility. One aspect, the responsibility for the 7th dispensation, will be the same as that of the 6th, and that is the responsibility to the new covenant. Obedience to the new covenant, and that is again to accept the gift of righteousness which God offers to all men through faith in Jesus Christ. But there'll be a second facet, and that is the obedience to the king and the new laws that he will issue during this period. So in the dispensation of the kingdom, there'll be something old and something new. The something old is the responsibility to respond to the demands of the new covenant, which means to exercise faith in Jesus Christ and His substitutionary death, burial, and resurrection. But then the second responsibility is obedience to the King who is then visibly here on earth, and obedience to the laws that He will issue. Now, the fourth facet concerns the test. And the test during that period will be for each one born in the kingdom to personally receive and accept the King as his personal Lord. To accept the King as his personal Lord. Not in place of the gospel, but with the gospel. To accept the gospel means that one believes that Jesus died for his sins, was buried, and rose again. And then added to that will be the aspect of owning this King as one's Lord. But there'll also be in that future time the next facet, facet number 5, which is failure. Men will fail, and in the very end of the millennium, Satan will be able to deceive humanity again, and mankind will come together for one last revolt against God's authority, will attempt even to invade Israel and to invade the holy city itself. This will bring on the sixth facet, the facet of judgment, which is the destruction of all of these invading armies by fire out of heaven. But grace will also be displayed during this particular period, and grace will be displayed in 3 major ways. Number 1, during the kingdom there'll be the fulfillment of all Old Testament prophecies. Every prophecy that has remained unfulfilled at this point, every prophecy that is unfulfilled during the Great Tribulation will find its full fulfillment during the Messianic kingdom. The second way grace will be displayed is that it will be a period of prosperity for all, so that every man will be able to sit under his vine, under his fig tree. A third way the grace will be displayed is that there will be immortality for the saved, in that believers in the kingdom will not die. Only unbelievers in the kingdom will die. And that is the 7th dispensation, and when this dispensation ends, we simply move on from the aspect of time to the aspect of eternity, as we enter the eternal state.